Curtis Trades here, and today I'm doing a comparison test we have Surface Shield from Blaster, Fluid Film, and we have NH Oil. And what these are is these are three undercoatings that all pretty much work in the same way by creating a barrier between the salt and the metal of your vehicle to stop it from rusting. They aren't created equal, and they are slightly different from each other in a variety of ways. What makes them all very similar is that they're all petroleum-based products, and most of them are like a mineral oil type product. So Blaster Surface Shield and Fluid Film both contain lanolin, which helps wick water away, but for the most part they're a petroleum-based product. And they all kind of work in the same way, where they create a wet barrier between the salt and the water and the road grime and the metal of your vehicle to stop it from rusting out, to keep that moisture off the metal.
I've driven through the rain a little bit. You can see where the rain came down off my wiper and took a little bit of this off. It does take a couple days for them to kind of set up and get stuck on there and lose their fluid properties right off the beginning. They do remain fluid though, and over time they start to spread. This is after about a month after applying it. The NH Oil Black looks almost identical. This here is the Fluid Film. Looks pretty similar to the NH Oil. If you get a good view on the angle, it's not dripping very much. It's kind of staying right where it was put. And then you can see the Blaster Surface Shield is running like crazy. This is just like dripping down. It's super liquidous. NH Oil is a little more similar to Fluid Film because it doesn't have that hardening component. The biggest difference between NH Oil and Fluid Film is NH Oil was built specifically to be an undercoating. That's what its main purpose is. Fluid Film is a multi-purpose product that's used for a lot of different applications. It's a lubricant, it's used on a lot of farm equipment. It is a good undercoating, but it wasn't specifically made for that. And NH Oil was specifically made for that. So we have NH Oil specific undercoating, Fluid Film, a multi-use product that's really awesome as an undercoating, and Surface Shield, which is also a dedicated undercoating that has a lanolin / petroleum based part and also a super hardening component. So as you can see here, the Fluid Film washed off the easiest. It's still beating up quite a bit, so it still does leave a lot of protection. Even if you can't see it all, it still does leave some protection. This is actually really impressive. I thought this was going to wash off a lot easier than it did. This is the NH Oil. This is a lot stickier than I realized. This stuff's still really sticky on there. And this is really impressive because this creeps really good as well. I thought it would be a little bit more so like the Fluid Film, but this is a lot stickier than the Fluid Film is for sure. And then the Surface Shield, obviously it has the hardening component, so it doesn't want to be removed at all. I don't think Surface Shield is really much different honestly than Fluid Film. I think it's almost an identical product. I think this hardening part makes you think it's doing better than it is, when really the hardening part doesn't really help you after the first year, because if it gets chipped or cracked, or if it dries out, it's not going to really do anything. The lanolin part, the more wet part of Surface Shield, acts very similarly to Fluid Film. And so I think that probably in a long-term test, if you did these two side by side, they'd be very similar results. But I'm very impressed with the NH Oil. So when you apply this to the underside of your vehicle and spray it all over the place, all the little aerosol particles will land all over in different spots that you didn't actually spray. So like if you miss a little spot here or there, the overspray is going to land on those spots and help protect them. Now the other really cool thing about these products is that they creep. And what that means is over time they'll move and they kind of flow. That's why the one's called Fluid Film, because it's a fluid product that doesn't harden. It's always creeping and growing and reaching to new nooks and crannies on the underside of your vehicle and protecting them. I had a tape line here. You can see some of it starting to scrape off from where the snow would slide down off the back of my car, or people bumped into it and touched it, but it's still really thick on here. On this side, I'm gonna use a paper towel to wipe it away. Came off pretty good. Fluid Film here, same kind of thing. It feels a little slipperier. This doesn't feel as hard as the NH Oil. The NH Oil seemed to dry out a little bit more here. Surface Shield much harder, and that's that hardening component. I had to really scrape to pull this off. It doesn't want to come off very good, and that's that hardening component. Now the hardening component I think is the biggest thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and it really hardens like a rock on there. I'm gonna have to take a credit card to probably scrape this thing off because it just hardens so bad on there.
And on the underside of your vehicle, that's not as big of a problem because you don't need to remove it. But I do think it lulls people into a false sense of security to having their car protected when it really might not be, because the lanolin and the petroleum part of the surface shield is going to wash off every year like the fluid film does, like the NH oil does. It's going to be more likely to be removed, so you're going to be less likely to add that back on the next year. So again, I don't think Surface Shield is necessarily a bad product. I don't think they should market it as a every 2 or 3 year product though. I think it should be an every year application. And I think I like fluid film a little bit better. Now, I do like that the fluid film is staying a lot more runny. It is a lot smoother, it's a lot softer, which is a good thing. Even though it's staying on here really good, it's still much more movable. This is still pretty movable here, but it's a lot thicker. So if you, I guess you could kind of, I would say that either of these are a really good choice. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. If you want something that's going to be a little more fluid to make sure you cover all the little nooks and crannies and be covered, I would stick to more of a fluid film. If you want something that's a little bit stickier, a little bit longer lasting against road spray, I would go with the NH oil. I really don't think you can go wrong with any of these products. Let me know in the comments below what you think is the best product out of these three.